Welcome to another episode of Just Ask Cher Live. And look at me, guys, already remembering the timer because this show is going to be live. It's going to be lit, as the kids say. Maybe not. I'm going to still stick with that one. They say that. Yeah, according to Cher. Anyways, I am incredibly, I don't want to say excited because I always say excited, but I am excited. Can't you feel my energy? Because today is all about getting you to be social at work, for work. I know it's actually a thing, but I want to make sure that I equip you with the ability to be social and knowing that that's part of a strategy and knowing that you should be doing it. And as well, we're going to dive deep into my scroll stopper of the week. And this scroll stopper is really cool. If you want to see how you can take a really cool concept that you get to bless people with your knowledge and your expertise, or perhaps a motivational thought, but also leverage the graphics and leverage the way that we can post things so that it encourages the audience to scroll along with you. This one's really dope. And finally, if you have been wondering how to get those closed captions on your videos, and if you want to make square videos, you want to put titles on them, this tool, I've been using it a lot lately, and I really like it. So I definitely want to make sure that I share that too, and tap that app, 2Ps. That's right. So stay tuned. This episode's going to be hot, but as usual, I always have a question. And this first question is coming at you. Team Live or Team Replay? Who out there, who are you guys? I know you guys. I know my regulars that show up, whether it's live or on the replay. I always want to make sure that I shout you out and give you love because I appreciate your support as you show up each and every week. Typically, I'd like to say I am broadcasting on Tuesdays at 3:30 Eastern Time, PM, by the way, of course. But today, you know what? Work got in the way, and sometimes work comes first, and I'm here, and I'm still ready to rock and roll. And what I do, if you've never met me before, is this the first time you've seen this curly-headed crazy girl? I help corporate rock stars become corporate rock stars. In other words, I help all of you corporate rock stars, anybody who is serving corporate, whether you're an entrepreneur working in that corporate space, or you are a professional and you need to build your brand for business, show up right, and also figure out how to make social media work at work for work so you can get your work done. Yeah, it's actually a thing. And as it becomes more popular, people need to figure out how to use it. So this girl right here, corporate social media trainer, go figure, and personal branding coach, what I do is I help people develop their brands and also teach them how to use social media for business, whether in a team or individually. So if you have questions about that, you know how to hit me up anytime. But first, let me check out who's online because, you know, you guys are always there for me. So I got to be there for you. So I'm checking this out right now. And of course, let's see if my phone decides to show me. Oh, yes, I see it. I feel like I am, oh, yum, yay. I love it when I actually see people. So Janine, hello. Whitney. It's okay, Whitney. You're jumping, you're like a replayer and you are also a liver at the same time. I ain't mad at that. In fact, I appreciate that. And Teray and Cosette, hello. Hope you are having a fabulous time in Hawaii. See, I know about things. I know things. And Misha, hello. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this first week back of real work. Did anybody else have any trouble getting back? I know I didn't have any trouble getting back, but I did have trouble working over the last 2 weeks. That holiday right in the middle threw me right off. But I don't know about y'all. I don't have time to waste right now because this is a jam-packed show. And like I promised you, this is all about how do you use social media at work for work. And what I feel is really important right now is recognizing where you are at because everybody's at different levels of their brand, right? Some people only want to do so much. And some people, the sky's the limit. They've got stars in their eyes. They are ready. They are ready for prime time. So let's go over what I see as some of the levels, the most important levels on branding, so you can kind of figure out where you're at and what's a priority to you. So let me jump over to my screen because, like I said, there's levels to this. So the levels to branding, right? Branding levels, branding. Branded. So most of you guys out there, everybody, this is like the baseline goal that I think most people have, unless you want to be, incognito. You actually don't want to show up for your brand. And there are people out there, it's like, I don't want to be found. I don't care. Well, this show's probably not for you and you're probably not even watching anyway. So let's move on right over back to the people who are branded. So when you are looked up, you literally show up and you have credible branded profiles. And what exactly does that mean? It just means that your profiles don't embarrass you. It's actually a little bit more than that. They actually work for you. So when people are looking you up, when you're showing up at meetings, when clients are looking you up, whatever the case may be, when teammates are looking you up, other people in other areas of your company are looking you up, they know what it is you do and how you can help them or who it is you help. And that is so important these days because a lot of people, if you watch the show regularly, you know when I'm talking about how some of you guys are showing up like you're looking for a job, but yet you're using LinkedIn every single day for business. But these credible profiles are not exclusive to LinkedIn. You've got to show up credibly wherever you choose your brand to show up and how you're going to use these networks. However, let's just keep it simple. There's levels to this branding. We're trying to level up your brand. So at least at the bare minimum, you need to develop a branded profile. But let's move on to the next. Okay, so once you're branded, there are those who want to level up their game even more. And let me know which one resonates with you, by the way, in the comments. So branded for business. And these are people who are actively using your presence and network to advance your performance, business, and career goals. And so basically you are saying, okay, I want to show up right because I've got things to do at work. I've got things to accomplish. And there are things that people need to know. So what's happening is you're recognizing that you see other people who are leveraging their brand and you're seeing to yourself, hey, wait, I can use this social media thing too. I can start reaching out to clients. I can start showing up in a more powerful way. So not only are you just having this like pretty face online, which is basically equivalent to an awesome profile. It's just a pretty face. But it's about putting the person behind the face. It's about connecting with people. And guys, you too can have a pretty face, I promise. But what it is, when you're branded for business, that means you're starting to actively think, how can I use social media to get my job done, right? And sometimes getting your job done means building the right relationships with people. Sometimes getting your job done means making sure that people understand that you understand your job and you know the stuff behind, you know how to explain it in such a way. You are becoming a leader, or maybe you are a leader, although I have one for you leaders. You wait and see, just coming up next. But there are things that you need to do. Maybe perhaps showing up credibly when you're making phone calls. People know who you are. When you are partnering with other teams, when you need to make sure that your teammates understand the skill set that they can leverage in order to get things done. Or perhaps there's a part of you where you want to get out there and share your thought leadership with your team, with your company, with your clients. At the end of the day, all this to say, you are actively folding in how you use social media for business. And this is where most people are. They're not trying to get to the next level. So they want that credible profile. They want to be branded for business because they're using it in one way or another. So let me know where you guys are at. And then the next opportunity you guys have right now, this is now the level up. As we level up into 2020, a lot of you have goals. Perhaps goals for leadership and career growth. So let me jump back into the screen. This is branded for leadership. And this is where you want to be the one. So the is really important. The one people want to work with, work for. And keep that in mind as you are building your brand, because this is now where thought leadership comes into play. This is where you're starting to think about, how am I positioning myself? And again, this is in the corporate environment. How am I positioning myself in a way that I want to work? I want that person on my team, or I want these people to think, man, she would be a great person to work with. He would be an awesome person to work with. So those are the things that you want to make sure that as you're growing, if being branded for leadership is part of that, now you're starting to think bigger than just, how am I using it to stay in touch with people? How am I using it to build a network? All that stuff, which I'm actually going to dive into because I want to play at the level where most people are at. But when you're branded for leadership, people are Googling you. They're checking you out. They want to know who you are. They want to know what is behind this leader that is in front of us. And that, again, could come into thought leadership. That could come into just to how you show up, how you show your interaction with your team, how you support them. And you can leverage social media as a part of this. And before I jump in, I'm going to take a look, or actually, you know what? I'll give you the last one and then I'll jump into the comments. How about that? All right. So back to my screen again. That's right. The final one. For those of y'all who have real stars in your eyes and you want to go beyond the business, branded and business famous, growing to the big stage. And this is like industry level recognition. This is you wanting to, take that big stage. And a lot of times there's a crossover between the branded for leadership and branded and business famous. And the reason why is there's a lot of opportunity there where it becomes the same thing. As a leader, you're taking stages, you're going to conferences. I'm taking a drink. But ultimately, what's happening is, for those of you who are going bigger, going home, a lot of you consultants as well who are working, you need to be known for your expertise on a larger, grander scale. You may want those media calls. You may want to be writing a book, and you need a bigger platform than just the platform that your company gives you and that recognition. So there's a crossover between branded for leadership and branded and business famous, but I think you guys get the idea. But I just wanted to go over that slightly because at the end of the day, I've got a focus for you guys. And this is what today's show is all about, being branded for business, because no matter what level you're at, except for, just branded, you want to be, all of the skill sets that I'm going to be sharing with you guys are relevant to this. And this is all relevant to your interest, no matter whether you want to be branded for leadership or branded and business famous. So I wanted to just make sure that these skills are relevant. So if you are thinking about leveraging your personal brand for business, being social for business, let me give you some tips right now. But before I do that, let me jump back in, see how y'all are doing today. All right. Patrick, we are all walking, talking brands. Thank you so much. And it is so true. And he said, I rock. I'll take that. That is true. And let's see. Winston feels like alive. This feels like alive because it is live, Winston. Right now, because I'm seeing you live. You're watching live. I go live all the time. And hello to you and Carrie. That's what I'm talking about. It's not about pretty me, right? It's not about just showing up pretty. It's not good enough. That doesn't help you. Pretty can only get you so far. It's about what's here. It's about the relationships. It's about how you showcase your knowledge. So you have to have, you have to go beyond the pretty profile. That's what I'm talking about right now. Okay. So let me just jump back in to training y'all, because that's what I do. And I want to ask you right now. So this is about you guys getting in on the action, because there's some buttons there. Yes. Are you strategically using social media right now for work, for work? Are you? Yes. Show me this thumbs up. No. Okay. Clapping because you're going to use it. clapping because you're ready to use it. Just want to know. I love seeing that flow of emojis. It gives me life. Let me know you're listening, and it gives me an idea of who's watching, what you need. So we're all somewhere on the spectrum of being social, because I mean, come on, you're watching the show, so there's your social life is coming up, or a lot of you, because I see who watches the show. A lot of you are these social rock stars ready to burst onto a bigger stage. So stay tuned, because I got tips for you. All right, there we go. I see all those thumbs up, and I see the handshake. That's okay if you're clapping. I don't know if that. Yeah, I can hear the clap. If you are clapping, that's okay. I got you. All right, so let's talk about getting social at work. Here are my tips for you. Oh, I'm doing not bad for time. We'll see if I can stick within my half an hour. I remembered my timer today. No cheating. Well, we'll see if I pause the time, because it's my time and I can reclaim it if I want. Anyways, all right. So the first thing is power positioning. So this is kind of what it is what I talked about. That first part of your being branded. You have to power position yourself. And so let me explain what I mean. This is when you are getting right into what people need to know about you in your profile, so how you show up. And this is the money-making, opportunity-creating language that needs to be front and center. And more importantly, centered around the people you serve. For some of you, that's customers, because you're client facing. For others, you are employee facing. You are creating something, you're working something, but people need to know you. People need to trust you. You need to have that power positioning. So not only do you show up credibly when I'm trying to figure out who's this person on this email list, who's this person inviting me to this meeting, who's this person calling me, trying to sell me something, right? I need to know. So that power positioning, like I said before, is money-making, opportunity-creating language. And at the end of the day, you should be walking away with the vibe of, I want to work with this person, or at least I want to know more about this person, or I want to work for this person, depending on where you're at in the hierarchy of all things work, right? So the next thing that you need to do once you've handled your profile, and again, like I said before, I work with a lot of teams, help them do that so that they are in sync with both the company brand, because that's very important as well as making sure that they represent themselves individually, because it's an individual person that people are connecting with. This is you. So they gotta feel you. It can't feel like the company, but it's got to work with the company as well to really have that solid brand. So that's what I work with companies to do with their teams. And it doesn't matter what you're working with. Anyways, up next, okay? Social to work integration. That sounds all fancy for. Take a look at what you do on the job. What aspect of your job is about connecting with people, whether it's building relationships so that things can happen a lot quicker? What aspect of your job is showing up credibly? So like, for example, you're making phone calls, you're following up with people. What aspect of your job is about showcasing your credibility, the things, celebrating wins? Are there things that can help you create relationships? So you need to figure out if, and let me rephrase that because I think I got lost in my words there. But what I'm saying is, when you look at especially the relational side of your work, how can you bring that into being social? So for example, if you are client facing and you have to touch your clients regularly, in the nice way, in the social way, of course, you have to stay top of mind, because sales may not be your number one job, but you're responsible for your book of business. If you are on that side, that client facing side, you're in that client management side, you need to be regularly touching base with your clients. A great way to do that is if they're in your network, and then you can start to engage with their content. You can share things socially with them. But again, what it is looking at the things that you need to get done, right? Maybe it's about doing research about companies that you're going to work with or people that you're going to work with. That you can leverage social media for that. But you got to look at all those points. You got to look at the points where you know that you just got to figure out how can I weave in social media into what I'm doing. And it just depends on what your job is. It's so much easier if I had a specific job that I could be talking about right now, but I know that there's so many of you guys watching. So the next thing that I want to do is also talk to you about, so basically that social to work integration is look at your duties and responsibilities as assigned and find out how can you integrate social media and relationship building into those aspects of your work to make things go along quicker. Okay, moving on. This is when it becomes thinking about that network build. Well, you probably don't have everybody you need in your network that needs to know you, needs to work with you, needs to connect with you, and needs to know about you. So this is an opportunity for you right now based off of your goals. Who needs to be in your network so that you are connecting with these people? And again, this is not just, and I know, and hello to everybody on Facebook watching and all my Twitter folks. This is not just about LinkedIn. I know this is, I'm always, LinkedIn Live. LinkedIn's kind of my thing, but I use all those networks. I wish I could broadcast to Instagram too, but can't. That's okay. Anyways, and it is about building the networks and building the relationships in the right networks. Because what's interesting is recently I was just talking to a prospective client of mine and working on it. And one of the things that I was explaining about Instagram, because, I get what network should I be on? And for most people, they only have time to focus on one, maybe two networks. And I likened Instagram to the golf course, unless they're building a business, and which I work with more professionals, consultants, all that kind of things. And Instagram is an incredible tool to build relationship, kind of like when you've got business buddies going to the golf course and making deals on the course, is because they get to have conversations that they wouldn't otherwise have. They get to build that trust and build their friendships. But you can do that with Instagram as well. Not the same thing, but it does provide you personal access to build professional relationships. Anyways, that's another show for another day. But in the meantime, it's all about building that network. So being strategic about the network, again, looking back to your goals, what it is you want to accomplish. And also when you're socializing your work, who is it? Who do you need to do business with? Who needs to see you? Who do you need to have contacts with? And again, business could be internally as well. Who are you working with? And how can you build better relationships to get stuff done faster? All right, coming up next, social touch points. And this, I kind of touched on it, but again, it is about what is your specific strategy. So if you are being branded for business, and again, everybody pretty much needs to be branded for business if they choose to go beyond the pretty face, the pretty profile. There's nothing wrong with that, but if you want to actively use it, you need to think about, well, how are you actively getting in the network? And what I said to a client earlier on today was simply the compound effect of what they call engagement. So engagement meaning liking other people's posts, commenting, DMing. Those are all touch points. And if you can be strategic about it, it could be simply about sharing content, sharing information, sharing what happened through your social channels as opposed to firing up the old email. These give you these touch points. And what I'm going to do right now is just dive in again just to see if I've got everybody hanging in, if there's any question. Michael's live from Ghana. Thank you. And Michigan. Network build is huge, right, Randy? And it can be complicated sometimes, exactly. And that's why I want people to really think strategically about what they want to accomplish in their roles and then integrate social media into their work and into their performance goals. They could be sales goals, performance goals, whatever And it's just like social media is an accelerant. It is not the answer. It's an accelerant. This water's not, but yeah. Social media is an accelerant. And so it's about leveraging it. And hey, Khadijah, how are you? Thank you for tuning in as well. I love you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And so thinking about planning out your social touch points, that could be, more intimate touch points, where is if you are creating content where, and that kind of brings me to my next point, where you are tagging them in that content. But the reoccurring content strategy, this is something that I'm going to be talking to you guys more about. And the social touch points comes back to, and I'll get, because it's going to go interchange. That's why I showed it. Wow, 4 minutes. How did that happen? Anyways, the social touch points, it really is about planning to be social, planning time in your schedule where it's not about you, it's about your network. Even if it's 20 minutes a day, that compound effect over time. Even if you have to set a timer and listen to your timer, it works. Okay, so we've got reoccurring content. And what I mean by that strategy is like, what kind of content can you create on a regular basis? Or can you engage in on a regular basis? And it doesn't all have to be starting from scratch content. But if you're going next level into a podcast, into a live show, but what about regularly sharing content that is relevant to your network by curating it? But the whole power of curation really comes down to what you write before you share it. So for example, yesterday I saw this incredible article and about your digital hoarding. I'm a digital hoarder. I recognize that after reading the article. But I shared some personal stuff, and I was surprised that with an article share, by sharing personal stuff, I got a ton of engagement and reach out of that. And, articles have not been that great up until this experience as far as sharing and getting the reach out of that. So that's just something I want you to think about. Reoccurring content. How are you going to show up with content? So you've got the social touch points where you're showing up on other people's content, but what's your strategy for that? And depending on where you're going, there's different levels to that strategy, right? Of course, dive deeper on another day, because that's like a whole show. Maybe that might be my next show, but I have an idea for my next show. So my next show, perhaps. All right. So what I want to know from you guys right now with the power positioning, really focusing on how you show up, focusing on how you integrate social media into you doing your job to perform well, to get stuff done, to get deals closed, whatever that is, figuring that out, working it out together. Of course, building your network and figuring out what your social touch points are within the network, aka engagement. And finally, your reoccurring content. How are you showing up through thought leadership, or what type of content you're showing up with? So those are the things that it takes to be branded for business, right? And of course, like I said, there's levels to it, and it's all good. Oh, this is stressing me out seeing that timer. I'm going to steal some time. I hope you guys are okay with that. Thank you guys so much for showing me that you're loving this. Yep. Good to be here. Thank you, Abimo. I appreciate that. And we absolutely, Khadijah, we have to be more intentional about being social. And so one thing I wanted to remind you guys about, speaking of being intentional, are you on my A-list yet? This newsletter is going to start to rock and roll very shortly. And I've created, and I'm almost finished it, a gear guide. So it's a content creation, personal branding gear guide. It's all the gear, the tips, all the gear that I use right now, like in my scroll stoppers and all that kind of stuff, the things that I use to build my brand, and some of them are business tools as well. I figured I'd package it all up in a really cool guide. I think it looks pretty dope. So I will be sharing that to my list only. So I'm not going to be posting up it as a document on LinkedIn. So get on that list. The easiest way to do that is, of course, going to justaskshare.com. And you'll see a page just like this, and you can dive onto my list, and it's all good. And I'm going to pause the timer because it's stressing me out. Can't have that. All right. Okay, so coming up next, I'm going to fly through this. But this scroll stopper is so good. It's worth the time, guys. So if you have time to hang on, you definitely want to do that. And let's see. Let me get there. All right. So here's my scroll stopper, guys. Introducing Eric Didier. I'm assuming I pronounced his last name right. I apologize. Eric, I follow you, and I think your content, your video content great, is phenomenal. And what caught my attention today was this piece of content right here. So basically what you guys see is I put a little snapshot because we're going to go deeper into that that piece of content at the very top there, that graphic. Basically, he's saying, although almost nothing becomes a hit on the first attempt. The telephone was deemed unnecessary. The car was not seen as something that could replace the horse and carriage. Heck, even having a personal computer was something people didn't think would catch on. Recently, around the office, I have found myself saying the phrase, "It's only a bad idea if you do it once." And what I mean by this is this. If you're out coming up with a new idea or even trying out a new form of content, it probably won't work the first time. But if you keep at it, your audience will know what to expect and begin to take the idea. We as humans are afraid to change, but if we guide the viewer through the journey, the long-term benefits are insurmountable. First of all, dope post. I mean, as far as just like what he wrote. So this was a timely universal topic, which I loved about this, because no matter whether it's the clients he serves in the video and content creation industry or beyond, you can step back and say, yes, no, I have a good idea. And if I don't attempt it more than once, that's the only bad idea out there. So what's awesome is this post, and this is what I want you guys to take away from that, is pulling out, as you build your network, it's not going to be everybody who's focused on what you do. So this can engage everyone, and it did really well. And I loved the personalized, well-written caption. It was awesome how he was able to write it in a way that I just flowed. Like, I loved reading it. I felt like this is awesome. And he brought in that personal aspect of it and of what's happening, what he finds himself saying. I think that was just an incredible way to bring you into his work, and also that encouraging tone and how it flowed. But what was really interesting is, remember what I just read to you. I want to show you how it flowed into the actual graphic itself. So I'm going to pull up a copy of the graphic. I'm actually going to show you two different things. So hold on, let me get it for you. There we go. So this is the post itself, right? And this is what you see. And the reason why I'm going to pull it up in two different ways, actually three different ways. So you see, this is it. You look at this graphic, it looks awesome, and you pull it and you start to read it, and it brings you through the whole graphic itself. But I want to show you what it looks like. Let's pull up the graphic so you can actually see it. And as you can see, what I loved about it, if you go through it, you'll see, I love the "a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away." Okay, throw to Star Wars, which is so relevant right now, by the way. So the Jedi mind trick's already pulling you in, because you see this timeline that he's pulling in. And so this was such a well thought out. So you look at that, 1876. You look at the way that he placed the graphics. But where we're seeing how awesome this is when you see it on the mobile application. It's easy to read, and you see little things here that brings you in. And also, I love at the end, tag someone who needs to hear this today. So great call to action. But let me just show you one more thing that I want you guys to be aware of. I want you to see the mobile experience. So this is what it looked like right here. So remember, see how that line is showing up, and it just brings you in with the carousel graphic. Like, it's just that continuity piece is awesome. And you really get to appreciate it from the mobile experience. So you see how well it did. And this is when I took this screen cap maybe a couple hours ago. It's doing even better now if we look at the live version. But ultimately, it just takes you back and forth and the eyes work with it. So just a little trick to keep you engaged. And so I was impressed. I thought it was amazing. What do you guys think of this? I think that while he may be a designer, and I'm sure or he has someone on his team designing this, I think that we can still take smart design cues from it as well. What was in the document itself, as graphic as it was so easy to flow through. You learn a little bit, but it wasn't an exact repeat of his caption. So I also want you to just take note of that. And finally, it was designed for the carousel. So we talked about that. So well done, Eric. You rocked it. That was definitely scroll stopping for me. And I think everybody, no matter what their graphic design level is, they can learn from this, and they should definitely check out the content itself on your page, follow you, connect with you, because you are just a rock star and I love your content. So well done. You were my friend scroll stopping. Okay. So finally, guys, also, it's not showing because there's a branded hashtag. So he uses hashtag dids on his there you go. See that right there? And if you click on, if you're searching for this, just click on hashtag dids or type in hashtag DIDS, and it's his branded hashtag, and you will be able to find this and all his other awesome content. So check it out. All right. So, of course, need to remind you, if you don't want to miss a post, speaking of branded posts, follow the hashtag JustAskShare hashtag. So if you're ever looking for me, if you ever need to find what I post and put out there, you can do that simply by following that hashtag. And so hit that follow button, search it, hit the follow button, and me and you, we will be connected, my friends, on more ways than one. I appreciate that. Next up, gonna quickly go into my Tap That app. 2 Ps, and that's going to be its own standalone show, by the way. So you guys are going to get some, as we hit into 2020, so many people are loving these app recommendations. So I said, hey, why not make a show? All right, this is fun, and I'll continue to preview it live on Just Ask Share Live because I love my live audience. But of course, let me know if you like that idea. But stay tuned. You'll see Tap That app in your feed sometime this month. We'll get that started for you. But today's Tap That app, if you ever wanted to create square videos, whatever, I can't remember that word, but portrait, landscape, also story size videos with closed captions. Sorry, I'm like totally losing my voice here. That's what this water's for. This, my friends, is the tool for you. Let me show you. It is called ClipScribe. I have been using it for a while. He goes back and forth actually between ClipScribe and clip titles, same-ish, different bio, but all the same. This is a really cheap, amazing option to create closed caption square videos, kind of like the ones that Gary Vee does and everybody else is doing right now. And I've been using it lately, and it is so easy to use. It is worth it. It's like a one-time payment. I think it's like I paid for the $90 version. He has different versions. Totally worth it if you're creating video. So check it out. Clipscribe.com. And it's absolutely awesome. So before I go, because I've been talking for quite some time and I took up some extra time, but it's all good. I want to know, what is it that you have questions about? So, of course, there might be some questions waiting for me in here. So I'm going to check this out. So, Gary, nice to see you live. Great looking doc by Eric. I know, it was just simple and well done. James, I agree. Fernando, hello. Yeah, love it. Shared it with my client. She was skeptical. Told her the same thing. We can take the customers along the journey, be consistent, and they will accept it. And this is so important for a brand relaunch. Absolutely. it is so important to be consistent. It's so important to show up. So I love that. Looking forward to getting that guide. Thank you, Michael. It is, you know what? This guide, I'm telling you, it's kind of epic. Yeah, I know I designed it and I'm doing all this stuff and I'm using the tools that I talk about using all the time. So not only just like the digital tools, I'm talking like what camera do I use? What mic do I use? What lights do I use? People ask me that stuff all the time. So I thought I'd hook you up, let you guys know. Shanae, excellent. Can't wait to see that guide. Happy to be on Team Live. I'm happy to have you too. Thank you for joining me. And Shanae is an example of somebody that I have a relationship here on LinkedIn, but also we DM each other all the time on Instagram because that's how things go. And Doug, thank you as all on Lehman's terms for showing up. Glad that you could be here for this side of the broadcast, the live broadcast. And I know you are a huge supporter. You share me on Twitter. Hey to everybody watching on Twitter. I appreciate that. So let's see. Randy says, yay, Cher Jones. And I say, yay, Randy Cooper. Awesome. And nice to see you, Randy. I liked your post the other day. I think it was about exceeding the 1,000. Was that one yours? I can't remember, but I saw you showed up on my feed. And of course, you always post some good stuff. So if you guys are not following Randy Cooper, my friends, you're missing out. But I don't see any questions coming in. Are you a brand strategist as well? Sean, not. I specifically work on helping people leverage their personal brands for business. So I'm slaying in my lane right now. And what I mean by that is helping people not only show up online in a way that helps them get business, that helps them do their job so that people understand they don't look like job seekers. They look like they're here to work. But I also show them how to use social media at work for work. So I do a lot of training and strategy along that way. But I also work with individuals who need to leverage their personal brands for business. But when it comes to business brands, it's doable, but it's not my jam, and I refer that out all the time. So if you need to be connected with somebody, you can DM me and I'll connect you. But yeah, the business brand is not my thing, but leveraging the people within the business, that's where I live. That's where I live. Okay, so let me see. Coco Lorraine says, good as usual. Thank you so much, Coco. I appreciate you. And I appreciate all of you guys tuning in, watching the show, whether live or in the replay. You know I love you all. I appreciate you so much. Like when I read through the comments, because not all of them, unfortunately, not all of them show up live. But when I read through them after, if you ever have any questions, I try to answer them all, and then also send some DMs as well. So I appreciate you guys. So coming up next week's episode, I mentioned it a little earlier. Well, I didn't tell you guys what I was talking about. It's all about repairing a brand. So let's say, for example, you're at work and you've developed a reputation for showing up late. You've developed a reputation for being a hothead. You've developed a reputation for whatever it is that, it's not the good look for your brand. And all of a sudden you're like, you know what? It's time that I'm stepping into 2020. I need to show up right. I need to show up different. I have some repairing to do. Well, I'm going to show you how social media can be a part of that reparation strategy, not to repair your brand strategy, and how you can use social media as you walk the walk and talk the talk, as Patrick would say. I'm going to show you I'm going to give you just some strategies that can help you change the way people see you. And using your personal brand, using your online presence, there's a great way to do that. And I've got some tips for you. So definitely tune in next week. Let me know if that's something hot. Also, if you guys have any suggestions, episode ideas that you want me to cover, I got you, but you got to let me know. And finally, one question that I have for you. Did you know, my friends, you got this far. Did you know that sharing is caring? Seriously, sharing is caring. And there's a little share button on this episode that you can share this with your friends as soon as I click goodbye. And I would ask that if you found value, if you've been watching all the way to the end, my friends, you found it valuable. I bet you at least there's one person in your network that will find it valuable too. So I definitely appreciate you watching. And I'm gonna go back with my timer like as if, I never stopped it. But I appreciate you watching. Next week I will be back on Tuesday, 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. I'm here live, ready to rock and roll and share what I know with you so that you guys can better develop your personal brands to get what you want, create the opportunity, create that money, create that reputation. Whatever it is you need, your brand can help you do that, and of course teach you how to do it too. So thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to the next episode. And if you are not, there's that side by side, look at that, time's up. If you are not on the list, get on the list. justaskshare.com, my friends. That'll get you on my list. Thanks so much for watching, and see you on the next episode. That's me. And now that's the list. Bye, guys.